You're listening to the Maryland Crabs podcast with John Frenaye and my dad, Tim Hamilton. Okay, there, I did it. Give me my phone back.
Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Frenaye, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Frenaye.
It's the Maryland Crabs. I sounded enthusiastic right there. Why? Because John's not here. Because John and I have decided to go our separate ways tonight. John told me that he is way too busy to do the intro with me because he is a very busy man. And actually he is. If you don't listen to his Annapolis daily briefing, you're going to want to, because days like today, and it's Tuesday, he was packed with news, and it was actually very informative, although I don't like to tell him that because I don't like to give him a swollen head. So I am doing this intro myself in my cozy house on a Tuesday night while the winds howl and the snows fall and, oh no wait, that's rain. Yep. We had rain today, and everyone is freaking out. They closed all after-school activities for the schools. They closed the federal government and sent everyone home early because of the rain. And let's take it down about 50,000 notches, Marylanders. I love Maryland. You are my people. But you're embarrassing me in front of my Facebook friends from Western Pennsylvania and upstate New York. We have a reputation of being snow sissies, and you guys aren't making me look any better. And I have to keep defending you guys, and I just can't. Let me set the standard here. How about we not freak out about snow unless there's actually snow on the ground? Let's start with that one. Let's actually have snow before we start freaking out about snow. That's all I want. Although I will say this, if you like drama, go to the Anne Arundel County Public Schools Facebook page on Facebook whenever there is a closing or not a closing or a late opening or not a late opening, because you'll watch the parents freak out because schools were closed or there's a late opening, or you'll see the teachers freak out because they have to go to school or there's not a late opening, and they all just do battle there, and I love it. I used to participate a little bit, but I just watch everyone freak out on that site. It's like a battle royale. Although I will say that the same people who complain about the roads not being safe and they want to protect their children, they're all at the mall. Later that day, let's be honest, they all go to the mall, so it's not that big of a deal. But if we get through this week, we're going to be okay, people, because there's supposed to be a deep freeze and we're not getting it. It looks like it's going to be in the 50s next week, although this weekend is a Super Bowl. And I love me a Super Bowl, although I'm a Redskins fan, so I have nothing to be excited about on this one. This one's kind of dull. We've got the Rams and we've got the Patriots, and I know everyone hates the Patriots, but I'm going to root for them anyway, just because I hate Pittsburgh. No, let me revise that. I hate Pittsburgh fans. They live in the past, and it drives me crazy. Whenever you have an argument about football, they talk about 6 rings, and can you top 6 rings? And Pittsburgh fans are essentially those guys in the small towns who sit in the bar and they're in their 40s and they're wearing their high school Letterman jackets, and they just talk about scoring 5 touchdowns for Polk High back in the day. I am tired of them living the past, so I want to see the Patriots at least tie their record just to shut them up and to watch all their feelings be super hurt. Although I'm not a fan of the Rams either. LA should not even have a football team, and they have 2. They have the Rams and the Chargers, and I think history has proven that they can't support a football team. They have 2 basketball teams. They've got the Clippers and they've got the Lakers, and they only go to the games because it's a who's who once you're there. LA's not a sports town, and I have no tolerance for sports towns getting all these sports teams, and they don't care. They don't even know they're in the Super Bowl. New York, Boston, Chicago, Philly, even San Francisco, those are sports towns. LA is not a sports town. As a matter of fact, LA's stupid. I'm just going to put it out there. Although John's an Eagles fan. There's no more obnoxious fan than an Eagle fan. They're so obnoxious that they take pride in being obnoxious. I have friends from Philly, and I love them. They're great, but they've gotten me ejected from more bars in my life because they just can't sit there quietly and drink a beer. They're just the most obnoxious people. And I'm a Redskins fan, and I think as all people know, Redskin fans are the quintessential gentlemen. We really are. We are fancy, fancy men. And let's face it, whether you like him or not, Tom Brady is the GOAT. He is the best. And yeah, I know people right now are screaming he's a cheater, but he's not doing anything that other quarterbacks weren't doing either, because if he were, they would have all been screaming about it when they busted him for it, and no one did. And if everyone's doing it, it's not cheating. And again, it's not that I'm a super fan, but he is the greatest of all time. He's pretty amazing. But I think it's going to be a stupid Super Bowl. I'm watching for the commercials and I'm watching for the halftime show. I don't even know who's playing at halftime. I just know it's going to suck. I'm Captain Positivity today. But one positive thing about the Super Bowl is what we're going to talk about today. It's the Super Bowl, S-O-U-P-E-R, Bowl. And that's going to be held at the Heritage Baptist Church on Super Bowl Sunday, which is February 3rd. That goes from 11:30 till 1:30. And we're going to talk about it here. I sat down at the Lighthouse Bistro with Chef Zachary Pope, who's with the Heritage Baptist Church. He's one of the organizers of the Super Bowl every year. It's their 13th year. And I also sat down with Kate Dawson, who's a Lighthouse Shelter volunteer manager. And we talk about the Super Bowl, and we talk about the food they're going to have and what the Lighthouse Shelter does. So let's get into it. After this break, we're going to sit down with Chef Zachary Pope and Kate Dawson.
Very few things in life are so precious and so irreplaceable that we all must do our part to protect them. The Chesapeake Bay is one of those things. You can do your part by contributing to the Chesapeake Bay and Endangered Species Fund. It's that little line item you'll see at the very end of your Maryland tax return. Any amount you give makes a difference, and it's tax deductible. I'm Peter Francho, Maryland Comptroller. Our bay and rivers thank you. Learn more about the Chesapeake Bay Trust at cbtrust.org.
When you're a community bank, you help your community however you can. Like being there for local business people, backing them up when they start up, advising them when they ask, standing by them so they can grow. Helping local businesses is one of the most important things we do at Severn Bank. I'm Alan Hyatt, chairman of the bank, but I'm also a proud supporter of businesses in Anne Arundel County. You know we never forget that here at the bank, we're a local business too. We face the same challenges and opportunities as any business, and we know how fortunate we are to have customers who stand beside us. That's why we stand beside you. If you have a business or you want to start a business, talk with us, because we're banking on you. Severn Bank, here with you.
Online at severnbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Severn Bank is a trade name used by Severn Savings Bank.
So we're at the Lighthouse Bistro, just hanging out. They're getting cranked up for the night. I'm looking for my beer. It hasn't arrived yet. And we're going to talk about the Super Bowl today, but not the Super Bowl, the soup, S-O-U-P, bowl. And I'm here with two guests here. We have Chef Zachary Pope. He's a chef, but he also works for the International Firefighters Association. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have Kate Dawson, who's a Lighthouse Shelter volunteer manager. Manager?
The manager, yes. Programs manager.
What if I promoted you right now to director?
Ooh.
Nice. They're not going to... You have to go back and say, that wasn't my idea.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea. You have to take it up with them.
And you guys are involved in something that's been going on for a while, about 13 years. So this is the 13th annual Super Bowl.
It is.
And so that's SOUP Super Bowl, and that takes place at the Heritage Baptist Church in Annapolis over on Forest Drive.
Right, a church I've been a member of since 1980.
I pass it all the time.
7. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a Protestant church, and my father was so Catholic we couldn't even have Bushmills whiskey in the house because it was Proddy whiskey.
It's Proddy whiskey.
He's a little bit of a bigot.
Yeah.
But he was a lovable bigot. He was like an Archie Bunker type.
Archie Bunker.
He's dead now.
Is it the lovable one?
Yeah, he is. So this is on February 3rd, and that goes from, 11:30 to 1:30?
1:30.
And so this is going to raise money for the Lighthouse Shelter, which is why we have the two of you together. And so tell us, you've been doing this for 13 years. You're just saying off mic. So run us down what's going to happen that day.
So the Super Bowl is just that. It's the play on words, S-O-U-P. And I make chili, baked potato soup, and good old chicken noodle soup. And those are the 3 soups that I bring to this gathering. The idea started with our former pastor, Reverend Henry Green. And he said, you have to go back 13 years to the age to where the Lighthouse Shelter was. It was in this building.
Yeah, we're on West Street right here.
Where the bistro is now. And it was an organization supported by a group of churches that exclusively that was their only.
The Annapolis area ministries.
The Annapolis area ministries, and
that was all denominations.
It was a multi-denominational. I think it was 13 churches, maybe 11, something like that. But we were part of that group. And among other things, we would contribute money, but we would contribute folks on different weekends to answer phones and do help people come in and out of the shelter. And
the original volunteers.
Yeah, the original volunteers, and that's the way. And so
I remember that old shelter. It was really ramshackle.
It was going on tough times, and this group of churches needed to generate funds, do something more to perpetuate the good idea that was the Lighthouse Shelter at that point in time.
And the new facility is just amazing.
Right. And of course, it's amazing how long have you been at that facility?
So I've been there for a little over a year and a half now. It's actually, 24,400 square feet, and I'm telling you, we're already quickly growing out of it. It's only been, 8-9 years.
Is it?
Yeah.
I took the tour when it was first opened, and it was state of the art, and it's still just absolutely amazing. But I was staggered at the number of people that the Lighthouse Shelter handles in a night. It's a lot.
Yes. Well, so during the day, we actually have more people who are coming in, our community clients. They're the ones that are coming in to get the hot lunch, the bag lunches, and then they're using probably the most crucial service that we offer is the Safe Harbor Resource Center. So it's where people can come in and they can get groceries, they can get assistance with eviction, they can talk to our client advocate, Karen, who works with the community clients to kind of get them the things that they need, the different resources, whether it's help finding a home or getting a sleeping bag or a tent. We offer so many services through that area, and you're right, it's just tons of people who are coming in every day, over 2,000 clients throughout the year.
That's amazing.
And it's definitely a long distance between what we're describing now and the function of the Lighthouse Shelter now and what it was 13 years ago. She just said eight years ago was when the facility was occupied, right? And so for those other 5 years, it was struggling at the end, and then the right people got a hold of the ideas, and there were a few very key influential people that really raised all the funds and made all this stuff happen.
Really campaigned.
Really did really good things, and so that group of churches was no longer the sole support for this great idea that we in a way perpetuated and tried to keep alive. But that's where this idea came from 13 years ago, was what can we do to raise a little bit of funds? And so Reverend Henry Green said, hey, what do we as Baptists at Heritage Baptist, but what do we as Baptists do really well? Well, one of the things that Baptists are known for
singing
is cooking, is preparing food, meeting and eating, as my grandmother liked to say, and that's just meet and eat, and we'll figure it out, And so we just invited the community, and it started out. I'm pretty sure it started out with this menu. And over the years, through the first 4 years, I think I tried to change the menu, and I was redirected back to this menu, which has been the menu probably for the past 8 or 9.
Well, people like the tradition, because you also have the salad and the rolls and dessert,
sure.
and it's all
a complete
free.
meal.
And I'm making the quotey things with my fingers because you come out for free. Yeah, give money to people. So, and it's always on Super Bowl.
It's always on Super Bowl Sunday, well before the game. And the idea there too is that folks who may not have time to actually sit down and eat, it can almost be a drive-through kind of thing where you give your donation and we'll load up whatever container you bring, and you all can enjoy them knowing that you contributed to a great cause, and enjoy these soups, chilies, whatever, while you're watching the game later on.
I know, let's be honest. So I grew up in the Catholic Church, and we would have the spaghetti dinners and everything, and they sucked. But you were a chef. So this is a far cry from what I grew up with. This is not, you're opening up cans of soup. This is the real deal.
This is the real deal. I put my heart and soul into everything I cook, really. I have a kind of a long history in the Annapolis area, and so, I'm guaranteeing that this is going to be good food.
So we got chili, and we've got the chicken noodle. And
chili, and let me even add in there. It's not screaming hot, like have a gallon of water or milk around before you eat the chili. This is a broad, well-seasoned, good-tasting. It's got beef and pork and beans all in there together in that nice zesty tomato kind of medium, and it's just absolutely delicious. One of my tricks, I'll even let it go. I love to use dried fruit, like apricots, and so you take a bunch of apricots and a bunch of like charred onion, and you puree them together, and you fold that in, and it adds this sweetness and depth to the chili that some people say, man, that's really good chili, and that's one of the reasons why they may be saying that.
Again, much better than the crap that we had at our St. James of Francis de Chanel, which is a great school, a great church, but we are spaghetti dinners.
Well, I got to be honest, I did a tour actually for some of your people today. They came in and they were expressing interest in volunteering and working closely throughout the year outside of the Super Bowl, and they mentioned the chili. They all said that I could come and I should get that because that's the one that they love the most. So
now the baked potato one, that's one I like.
The baked potato, and those, thank you. I like the baked potato one myself.
I'm a potato guy.
And the idea originally, 13 years ago with those, was you use the same toppings, the scallions, the sour cream, and cheddar cheese. Both of those are universal on both the baked potato soup as well as the chili. And so it's a catch-all.
Right.
So that was just the thinking behind that continues to work well. And then the chicken noodle catches all the kids. So there's no reason not to bring the kids. Heritage is always a kid-friendly church. We have...
It would be great right now if you just said, don't bring the kids. We just don't.
No kids.
Our church
especially
is
if they're
not...
crying. We also have that Heritage Learning Center, which has just about every kid that's grown up in Annapolis has either themselves or their brother or older sister or something like that have been through that Heritage Learning Center.
Now so that church that's the big one. You have a lot of property there. That's the one on outbound Forest Drive. That's right across from like the Lido Pizza and the Soul.
Correct.
So it's right across. It's a really big one.
Yes. Yep. Kind of just down from that Safeway there, where Mafe used to be, on that side of the road, where Maryland Auto Insurance Fund, that they're building some other government
I'm excited.
office.
I want. Yeah, if its office is gonna be boring, I was gonna hope it's something good. They're putting a Royal Farms on Forest Drive.
Oh, everyone's going to get that fried chicken.
Everyone's very upset. Half the people are upset about it. We're just talking about the Eastport Forum. Yeah, well, they do decent fried chicken.
They do decent.
He's had a great place down there, too. It was Chesapeake Chicken. That was all the way down Forest Drive. It was ridiculous.
I've heard really good things about, Soul as well.
Soul's really
I'm pretty sure we have some really good chicken here as well at the bistro.
The bistro, the Lighthouse Bistro is just amazing. If you never come here, they do a great job. They just do dinners, I believe, but we've eaten here before. It's just amazing. And they take the chefs who they train the people who work.
Yes, the best program, which is,
Yeah, and they're not just saying it's awesome, it's the best. It is the BEST program.
BEST, Building Employment Success Training. It's kind of twofold. So we have the culinary side, which is everything from julienne to barbecue, front of the house, back of the house, catering. And then they get Serve Safe and Tip certified, which are national models for people getting jobs in any kitchen, really.
In my job right now, I can only hire folks with Serve Safe and food handlers certifications.
Right, so once they get those certifications, they can really work in any kitchen around the nation. It's huge. And then the other side is facility maintenance. So we have a partnership with Anne Arundel Workforce Development, where they do basic training for just about everything. Drywalling, plumbing, I think they even did a little welding this time, janitorial duties, landscaping, painting, all of it. And then they also get certified to lead to internships, apprenticeships, and even further their education in different tech jobs.
So walk me through this. This is actually pretty amazing. I always thought this is incredible because it's not just, the Lighthouse Shelter is not just sheltering people. It's just not keeping here for the night. It's not just a status quo where we'll feed them, give them a safe place to sleep, which is all admirable in and of itself. But they're actually giving these folks real life skills that they can take out and they can find jobs. That's a really incredible program.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we are. We're a total program. When people come in, they agree to create a plan, go through the different steps to succeed in that plan and be self-sustaining when they leave. So one of the programs that we offer is the BEST program. It's not necessarily our residents. I mean, though some of our residents are in the program, it's really open to anyone that wants to apply and start a new career and get those basic skills in either the culinary facility maintenance field as well as the soft skills for finding employment. So that's just one of the programs that we offer, but really at the Lighthouse we have so many other ones. For our residents, we actually have educational programs. We do things like Career Start, which helps people figure out where they want to end up in their career, self-identifying barriers, and then being able to work up to that dream goal of whichever job they would really like to achieve. Because at the end of the day, when you're thinking about it, if you are just getting whatever low-income job you can, it's not going to sustain you over time. You want to try to figure out that end goal career and work your way up to it. So we help people achieve that, as well as so many other different things that we offer for our community clients. It's really just, it's so broad with food and everything.
It's an incredible empowerment program, and these guys, each over the past few years that have come and ladled here on Super Bowl Sunday, are always, they're on fire. They know that they are headed in the right direction. They feel they've gotten this fresh chance, this opportunity, and I can see it in them. I hear it when they talk, and bless their hearts, all they're doing is ladling soup that afternoon. But man, they are the guys and gals that you want behind those pots, representing the Lighthouse Shelter, representing the heart of this function.
Well, and I mean, going off of that, yesterday we had our BEST graduation, and everyone gets up and they speak about their experiences, not only, pre-BEST, but during BEST and what they hope for after they, achieve this training. And everyone's just so hopeful. They feel like they've really been given a chance to pursue something that they're really passionate about. And I think that's the best part of the program, is that, the people that want to be in the BEST program, or really at the Lighthouse in general, are the ones that want to make a change in their life. And that's what we hope to achieve by offering all these programs and support system through the food and the classes and everything to make sure that they get to that goal.
We were talking about that the other day. I was talking to someone about public housing, and just the issue that we have, not only in Annapolis, but public housing in general, is that it is just, unfortunately, a place where you warehouse people throughout the generations, that they're not given a lot of hope, they're not given a lot of direction. So, when you look at holistically, how do we solve poverty, how do we get people out of this, and you say, well, what are we supposed to do? But if you go around Annapolis and Anne Arundel County especially this time of year, when there's little wooded plots off Route 2 or something, and you see little tents and makeshift tents in there, what have you.
Yes.
And because they're invisible. The homeless people are, unless you're in San Francisco, where it's very evident in your face, but we have plenty of homeless that are here in Annapolis. But I think when I look at the Lighthouse Shelter and what they do is that they give people, and I don't want to sound cliche or corny, but it gives them hope, because they have a sense of purpose that it gives them the tools to get out of that, and that to me is just absolutely incredible.
Well, I think it even goes a little beyond that. It's more than hope. It's a relationship. I feel like a lot of people who are coming into the Lighthouse, they have been so disconnected from the community aspect for so long, because exactly like you say, you kind of just bypass. It's like, oh, there's the tents, you see them, but it's not like you're stopping to say something. But at the Lighthouse, we offer that relationship aspect. I mean, Karen, who I've mentioned a couple of times through the Safe Harbor Resource Center, she's just phenomenal working with our most vulnerable clients. So they're the ones that are coming in. A lot of them are actually chronically homeless, so they've been homeless for a very long time, haven't really had that hope of getting out of it, have been trying to kind of figure out a way to maybe get out of it, but a lot of them are struggling with different traumas that keep them from doing that. And actually recently there was a veteran who was living in Florida for 4 or 5 years as a homeless veteran, and he decided that he was going to make the trip up to the DC area so that he could be closer to the VA. But he ended up in this area in Annapolis, and after being stopped by Karen one time while he was sitting on a bench, he decided he was going to come to the Safe Harbor Resource Center. And though he was there for 6 months, every day, he didn't really warm up to anybody. We would offer him the services to help him, find housing, but then at the end of the day, he would refuse it. He would say, no, I'm fine. I'm just here to take a shower and, just kind of hanging out in the Safe Harbor Resource Center. But then, over time, he developed a relationship with Karen, and they started talking a little more, and he began to trust her. And she finally said, hey, let's, call the representative from the Baltimore VA. And she also came 3 times before he would talk to her, because it really is relational. Like, if you are not able to connect with this person, then you can't expect to get the information from them. I mean, it is their life, and a lot of them are feeling different traumas and even shame for the things that they've gone through. So finally, after 6-7 months, they were able to get him starting that conversation, and through the help of the Baltimore VA and the Department of Social Services, he got a housing voucher, which is
that's awesome.
Which is so crazy. I mean, this chronically homeless man went from having to live on the streets for nearly 5 years to having his own place, and that's what we aim for. Is healing takes place in a relationship, but relationships take time to develop. So that's what we're really pushing that when we're working with community clients, and it's the same for our residents as well.
There's a lot of what you just said. It makes me it's able to say in words like the same type of thing that Heritage tries to do in the community. This is a relationship that we have with the community. It's 13 years old. It's something that we're developing that just takes time. It takes time, and the heart of the people at the Lighthouse Shelter and the heart of Heritage is a nice blend, a nice marriage of these community involvement. That's exactly what this has always been about.
And you can make a difference at such a low level. That's one of the things, is when you contribute to something on a national level, and they show that, why do people contribute when there's like a house fire or something that happens locally? It's because you see that what you're doing is making a difference. And I think that the Lighthouse and what you're doing at Heritage Baptist is so amazing, is because you can see the instant results for what you're doing. That you can see it at ground level and see that you are making a difference. Because people forget, I think in this country especially, poverty is seen almost as a character flaw, by society as a whole. That it's laziness, or you did something to deserve this. And the same thing goes with some of the causes of homelessness, like addiction, is seen as a character flaw. Well, you're the one who did this, and you ended up out there. But we have so many veterans who are on the streets. We have so many mental health issues.
Well, it's so interesting that you say that, just because there's a client that was at the Lighthouse, and my favorite quote ever is, he said, there are 100 different people here, and they're all here for 100 different reasons. Yeah. And I do a training program for my volunteers who are helping in the Employment Resource Center, and I always start with, what are the causes of homelessness? What do you think makes people homeless? And addiction is definitely a number one answer, but a lot of people, they dive into it. I've gotten answers like gaps in employment, trauma, even divorce, and it makes people really think, because when you finally open yourself up to that mindset, then you start realizing like, it could really happen to anyone. And I think people get uncomfortable with that idea, because it really could.
Well, in most cases, you don't just all of a sudden you're in your house watching your TV and everything, and the next day you're out on the streets. It's usually a gradual process. I always think about, I met this guy in 1989. I was 19 years old, and I was visiting San Francisco, and I was having a cigarette in the parking lot outside the original Tower Records that was out there, and this youngish black dude came with kind of short dreadlocks, came out, and he seemed old to me, but he's in his 30s, and he bummed a cigarette, and he goes, I come from a town so deep in Mississippi, you need a ladder to get there. He goes, but I clawed my way out. He goes, I paid my way through college. He goes, I worked my way up the company ladder, and he goes, I was one of 10, 12 vice presidents of this company somewhere out in California, and he goes, I was living the life, I was making great money, 6 figures in the 80s. That was phenomenal money. Yeah. And he goes, and partying a little bit, and you'd be having a little coke, and you'd be going to parties, and you're staying up late, and he goes, and then you start missing work a little bit, but it's not a big deal because you're working long hours, and he goes, then you're missing projects, because you got caught up in the lifestyle, and he goes, then all of a sudden you're out of work, but not a big deal because another company picked me up, so I'm working for them. And he goes, but I'm not making as much money, and he goes, but I'm not taking it seriously, and then all of a sudden he goes, I miss payment on my apartment. And he goes, I missed a payment on my car, but then I borrow the money but then I have to move in with a friend to save money, and then all of a sudden I can't pay my share of the rent, and he goes, and all of a sudden you're living in your car, once in a while. You're laying on couches, and then you're in your car once in a while. Then he goes, then you're in your car all the time. And he goes, then all of a sudden you're on the street. And he goes, I'm on the street now. And he goes, it all happened over about 18 months. And he goes, I've been on the street for 5 years. He goes, don't let anyone tell you this can't happen to you. He goes, it can happen to you so fast, and it's so gradual. You're a pot in the boiling water, or a frog in the boiling water.
And honestly, at the Lighthouse, we are so grateful to have the support system that we do in our community, because even outside of the amazing support that we've gotten at the bistro, where people come in and eat here, and like you said, it's a social enterprise, so everybody wants to come and support the people who have gone through the program and who are really working to start this new career. But at the end of the day, we can't function as an organization without our volunteers and without the support of community and community involvement, just like with Heritage Baptist. Because if we don't have the people who are coming in contributing that time, then we can't really serve the people who are exactly like you mentioned.
So Kate, you're the volunteer manager. No, you're the volunteer
program manager.
No, director. I'm gonna Vice President of Volunteers.
Wow.
We're gonna keep getting you up there. So, what exactly, when you talk volunteers, are the people who do the programs, are the people who come in and work with the clients? What is involved in all that?
The volunteer program really is huge. We have a lot of different opportunities for people to come in. So it ranges from managing the front desk with our resident assistants. It is distributing food, whether it's groceries, our fresh market, or bag lunches to people in need. We also have people who are in our Employment Resource Center who are helping with resume writing, cover letter building, mock interviews. I always say letter. And then we have people who are working in the Safe Harbor Resource Center as well, making sure that those clients who are coming in are getting the resources that they need, like toiletries. Exactly. Make sure that, when they're coming in to do their laundry, maybe they're not, letting it sit in there while someone else is really excited to do their laundry as well. But it goes further. We have volunteers who help with tutoring and with financial empowerment, which is helping people make a budget. We have people who come in and help with administrative duties, and during the holidays, I even have volunteers who come in and sort and organize everything so that we can distribute to people who really need it. So it's so diverse. We have so many different options for people, even childcare, and like I said, we can't really do it without our volunteers. If we didn't have them, I really don't know what we would do.
How many do you have on a daily basis, you think? Just ballpark.
Ooh, at least 200.
200 volunteers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking a week. Probably about 15 to 20 a day.
That's a lot still.
It is because we have a closet that has to have volunteers in it, so people can come in and get clothes. We have.
I just pictured a closet with extra volunteers.
Yes.
Going, we need another one. Go to the closet, get one.
Pull the next one out.
We even have schools that come in and organize things for us and help in the kitchen. So between
kids
all
who
of the
need hours to graduate too, like volunteer hours.
So actually, those children groups are really just part of schools that we're partners with. So they'll come every Tuesday. We have a school group that comes in and they pack grocery bags, they help with our fresh market, hand out bag lunches, and if I have any organizational projects, they actually do that as well. And each group is always, like 8 or 10. So you can imagine that, just alone, that's quite a bit just on a Tuesday, plus our regular volunteers that are managing the other opportunities that we have. So over the course of a week, we actually have well over 200 volunteers that come through, just because if you think about it, our breakfasts and dinners are actually provided by our volunteers. So they get all the ingredients, they prepare it, they serve it, and then they are, encouraged to eat with the residents, and we allow up to 10 people to do that. So just for breakfast and dinner alone, it can be upwards of 140 volunteers in a week.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's awesome.
It's really neat.
That's amazing manpower.
That is why you are the president of volunteers.
That's right.
Yes, I actually, I just recently got the numbers for 2018, and we've, almost in our reporting, we've almost doubled in the amount of volunteers that we have from last year, just because we've had more groups bring people, which means that that's just more manpower that's coming through.
I see that as a, people are attracted to things that they know are positive, and that is definitely the law of attraction right there, happening with tangible numerical results, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's what, you see it right here. So that, a lot of the staff that's here at the Lighthouse Bistro, so, not only are they helping at the Super Bowl, but they're also, they work here, that they're learning skills that they can kind of take out. Because, people don't think about that. When you want to put your life back together, how do you do that if you don't have a place to shower and get dressed and, clothes to wear and get prepared? And, where do you stay? Because it's 2 weeks to get your check. And even that check you're going to get is not going to be enough to live on your own. So, it takes a while to get on your feet.
Which is why we try to stress Career Start with our residents, because like I said before, you are able to self-identify your barriers, and then you learn, hey, I want to, let's say you want to be a nurse and you are excited about being a nurse, but that requires schooling. So we help them figure out the best place to start so that each step gets them to that goal. And it's the same thing with the BEST program, is when they are entering the BEST program, they're getting that job training, but at the same time they need a place to learn, and the bistro is a really great place for that, because it's a full functioning restaurant. This is easily becoming one of the Annapolis favorites. I love coming here.
That's great.
And it is perfect for people who, either want a night on the town or have family coming into town or whatever it is, because, it's a full functioning, delicious restaurant, and it's all with trained people who really enjoy it.
And who knew 13 years ago or whatever that as West Street continues to expand down this way, that, this is very much a popular area and growing. And those houses over there did not look like that,
well, you remember
10
this,
years ago.
No, not even 5 years ago. This part of West Street was really shady. That
absolutely.
And now it's really become, the art district has pushed out.
Right.
It's kind of met with Westgate Circle here, so it's really an up and coming spot. As far as restaurants are starting to pop up.
Well, I'm just thinking. We've been doing this for now. This is the 30th year since the Lighthouse has been going on, and I just hear all the stories, because obviously I wasn't here 30 years ago.
Very smug.
Yeah, right.
But I hear all these really amazing stories about how it started with, half were cots, half was like feeding people, and right here. And now it's crazy to imagine that growing from that, we have this amazing facility that has an art and music room and gives all these different programs to people and allows community clients to get out of the cold. And we've recently started coordinated entry, so even if we can't take people, we can help them get places where they need to go. It's such a big growth in such a small amount of time, and it seems like there's a lot of people who are really supportive of the mission, which, like I said, we need that in order to run.
Well, even 15 years ago, I was thinking that when Lighthouse Shelter was here, it was there came a couple of years where I don't think people thought they were going to make it. They were going to last. They didn't have the funds, and that was during the economic boom. That was before the crash of 2008, but it was huge. So, what's Lee Hurt? She's just saying?
This is my favorite part.
But it's amazing that the reinvention, just what it is. Like, you look at what it was the cots, and it was almost a boarded up building, to where it is down on Hudson Street, and it's just an amazing facility.
And again, that's where 13 years ago there was a huge need, years and years ago. But 13 years ago we put the rubber to the road and said, we're gonna, Pastor Green said, we're going to do this, and we're going to cook for them. And Zach, wouldn't you like to cook for them? And I said, of course I would. Of course I would. What do we have in mind?
You can tell your pastor.
And then I was as my friend over there likes to say, I was voluntold to go ahead and put a menu together. Right. Yeah. And it truly, that was the genesis. It was all about making sure this place did not close, making sure this place, no matter if there was some poor mismanagement, no matter what the mismanagement was, now we're going to move in the right direction. And, what's our part in that? Well, our part was starting this Super Bowl Sunday.
Now, do you work with other organizations? I know the churches have all been involved, but when it comes to the operations, do you have other nonprofits that work with?
Oh, yes, we definitely do. So like I mentioned before, we are part of coordinated entry, which means that people can come and interview to be part of our program, but let's say our program's not the best for them, it actually goes into a system that everyone can access. So like the Department of Social Services can actually, access it and say, hey, maybe this place doesn't have a bed, but this fits what you need as well, so why don't we put you there? We also work with Winter Relief, so when people come in to register for Winter Relief, they can do that with us. And
what's Winter Relief?
Winter Relief is an organization where people can get out of the cold for an evening, so it moves from congregation to congregation.
Usually churches.
Yep, usually churches.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Like in town?
Mm-hmm. And they
I had no idea.
So they have, cots set up, and they provide food and warm wear and things that people need, and they can stay there for a week, and then it picks up and it moves to the next church.
To the next church.
Right. So they'll have like whatever their cafeteria or whatever facility kitchen they have there.
They staff it, and the way I understand it is, there's folks that are there all through the night,
right,
that are congregation members and such, and
watches,
just to monitor,
night watches,
to monitor and that sort of thing. And then they usually leave during the day. They have stuff that they need to do and time when they aren't there. Right? They come to the resource center, and then they return. But and you can be on it like indefinitely through the winter. There's some people that need it 6 weeks, and there's some people that need it 6 nights.
One thing when Zach and I grew up on the other side of DC, and DC had House of Ruth. I think it's still there, and they do really great work now. But back in the 80s, it was
House of Ruth on New York Avenue.
Yeah, it could be kind of dangerous back then, so that you went there when it was desperate. But it could be a violent place. It could be taking your life into your own hands. And I think now they've made it a lot safer. But I understand with the rules that are in place at Lighthouse, and just about sobriety and about what you bring in with you. That it's extremely. It's a place where you can go that you're safe, that you can examine your situation, you can get training, you can kind of get on your feet, and the opportunities are all there.
It definitely, I totally agree. And because we're able to work with all these different organizations, actually it's something that we've really focused on in the past few years, is really developing those partnerships with people in the area in Anne Arundel County, so that we can better serve our clients.
Now, you're looking for people, like, we're talking about training, right?
It's really more than training.
When you're looking for partners, and you say, if, for example, the BEST program, I'd imagine that you have people who from the outside who come in and help run that from time to time.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we're always looking for people to partner with concerning the BEST program, for sure, because at the end of the day, once they finish the training program, they need jobs.
Right.
And so those are definitely, yes, exactly. Chef Linda, she is
So it's sort of like when you get an internship somewhere and then you parlay that into a job, which I didn't do in college, and I should have.
You did?
But I did not.
Lots of cooks do that.
It's like a built-in internship for them, so they have both on their resume when they
know
are
Chef
done.
Linda around town, for sure.
Now, who's Chef Linda?
So
I'm not in the know.
Chef Linda has been working at the Lighthouse for over 7 years now, and she is the one that heads our culinary side of the BEST program. She's also the one that heads our kitchen, so make sure that everything is getting cooked for the hot lunches. And right now we're actually moving towards a client choice pantry, which means that people will be able to shop rather than us telling them what they want. When I say shop, it's air quotes. Obviously, it's still free. Yes.
Right.
But it'll be it's exactly choose. Why it's client choice. But it'll be an educational piece as well, because we don't want everyone just coming in and getting all the chips that we got donated. Maybe we want them to get the vegetables too. So it'll be color coded, and people can take a certain amount of things. And but she's really the one that's spearheading that idea.
Do you have little gardens over there, anything like that? I'm fanatical about all that.
Oh, about gardens? Oh, of course we do.
You have the culinary gardens and all that?
So we had it donated by the Midshipman Action Group. It's raised garden beds, as well as 8 different hydroponic gardens that were donated by a longtime volunteer.
Nice.
And the Four Rivers Garden.
This.
Oh, really?
Yes. And then every year the Four Rivers Garden Club, as well as the Calvary United Methodist Church, fill our raised beds, and our volunteer Sue, she's the one that does all of the hydroponic gardens. So we use that as a training tool for our best program for sure. That way they know how to harvest it, where it comes from. We even actually with the raised garden beds, it's really great because if people are stressed out, a really great way to not be stressed out is to
go weed.
Weed. And it's funny, a lot of people actually really do that.
There was a program years ago, I don't think it's active anymore, but it was in the area. It was called Plant a Row for the Hungry, and it was for people like me who garden, and then you're planting in June and everything seems like a good idea, and then come August you're like, well, what am I going to do with all this? Yeah, so it was a program where you could bring it into local garden centers, and they would distribute that to food pantries and what have you. Some of that'd be great, but it's
nice.
I mean, food is a big part of our organization, obviously.
Do you all accept home growers that are overgrown and stuff like that? Would that be something that you would be able to accept?
Actually, with produce, as long as it's boxed up and brought in, actually we have accepted those things. The tricky part is when people cook things and it's left out and it's not packaged. You never know if it's sitting out in the air. Or there are definitely rules for the food, but as far as non-perishable or fresh produce and things like that, we usually take that.
Nice.
Because you can't really, if you look at a tomato, you're not going to be like, oh, someone cut into that. You'll know.
Yeah, exactly.
So for the Super Bowl, again, that's February 3rd. That's 11:30 to 1:30. So you get to home in time to see the game. It's not a problem. You actually have services at 10:30. You can wear
We have services at 10:30. It's our main service. It's our morning service. That's Sunday morning.
But you can wear your...
Pastor Scott Shelton will lead the service that morning. And yes, we encourage that you wear any team. It could be Navy, it could be Army, it could be a professional team. The pastor himself is a native Texan, and I'm also from El Paso, so we're Cowboys fans. And that, of course, creates excellent, table conversation, we'll just say. And I just want to mention, we get such a great, unique group here on this day, because it's not just our church members. The way it started out 13 years ago, it was like 99% our church members and a few others. But this year, in fact, Mayor Buckley will be there at Super Bowl. I'm not sure when, but I would imagine around noon.
He's wearing some sort of soccer jersey or something.
Yeah, right. It is, this is football, people. Yeah, but but then we have
the Wallabies.
We have great stories like there was this young kid who had saved up money, saved up allowance, and ultimately ended up coming in and he said, I want to give all of this money to to donate to the Lighthouse Shelter. And it was his allowance, and it was a sizable amount.
Oh, man, that's so cool.
Over $100. I think it was closer to $200.
Children are really so giving.
Oh, they're amazing.
Lee Hurts here, her eyes are getting all wet right now.
It's amazing. And, there's folks that just show up out of the blue. They show up out of the blue, they say, Chef, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm like, you put more butter pats out, or fill this with ranch, or, just random, and I don't know them, but I know why they're there, because they want to help. There's, what's that?
You're an acting last year. Just working.
There's been some country singers, some label artists, and there's been Navy football players from time to time ladling, Navy basketball players. Former coach Paul Johnson, that's now down at Georgia Tech, was the coach here at Navy, and he was a member of the congregation, and it was always interesting to get him involved and see what that looked like. And it's just, they've all got individual and unique, but an overall just amazing picture of the community coming together in the form of money, but also just in heart. And of course, now you're participating with this, and we're getting out the word in a different way way where we can actually spend the time and talk about how great the Lighthouse Shelter is and the things that it's doing in the community. And that's what this thing was all about 13 years ago. And look where it's gone.
So what do you both need from everybody? All the lazy people listening to this right now.
What do we need for them? We just need them to not eat breakfast.
Okay.
Come on to church at 10:30 or just for the soup or whatever they want at 11:30, noon, 12:30. Come in right at like 1:15 to get the last of anything I have left. And then leave the biggest tip because you're like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. And then, I say tip, but donation.
Yeah, so
is
this is technically cheap. It's free, cheapskates. So spend your money, you open your wallets. It's going to an incredible cause. I was even tempted to go to the church service just to see if my grandfather clawed his way out of the ground in a Protestant service.
Oh yes.
Well, I have to be honest. Once you go to the Super Bowl and you get to be all full from all the delicious things that you're going to eat, and you want to know a little bit more about the Lighthouse, I'm your girl. Please reach out, and I will happily give you information about how to volunteer, what we're doing, and expand on the things that we have going on if you're ever interested.
All right, so reach out. That is Kate Dawson. She's a Lighthouse Shelter volunteer
Programs
king.
Program, that's right. Executive Vice President of Programs Management.
She's managing this many people. We're gonna elevate her. It's a field promotion. That's what you got. And Zachary Pope, but your name is awesome. Zachary Pope. It's 3 syllables in one. Like bang.
Bam.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Yeah, you have Zach Pope, and this is
you could have been
Pope.
On Scandal. Yeah.
Yeah, my name's so stupid.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm Timothy Hamilton, so if I just change my name to like Ham, like Timothy Ham, that'd be better.
See, and chefs love names with food. You see the ham?
I'm sitting here all stupid going, Pope? What kind of food is Pope?
No. Timothy Ham.
Nice. I love ham.
I like that too.
So that's February 3rd from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 at the Heritage Baptist Church. It's on 1744th Drive, Annapolis, kind of catty corner, sort of to the Safeway that's up there.
That's right.
It's across from the Soul. So don't eat breakfast. Go out there, eat for free, leave a ton of money. And you guys, thanks for coming. This has been great.
Thank you so
much. It was wonderful being here.
And that was Chef Zachary Pope from the Heritage Baptist Church and Kate Dawson from Lighthouse Shelter. And we're talking about the Super Bowl. I'm actually going to go. I'm not going to go to the services for obvious reasons. As a lapsed Catholic, I don't think I'd switch teams after walking off the field years ago. It just doesn't seem fair to Catholicism. I spent all my time and efforts with that, and I think it'd be kind of smack in their face to lose such an incredible player like myself, only to have me picked up by the Protestants. But anyway, so definitely go out. I will see you there on Sunday. In the meantime, you can find us on social media. On Twitter, we're at MD Krabs Podcast. We have a Facebook group and we have a Facebook page. Find us on both of those. You can email us at theinfo@themarylandkrabs.com. And yeah, I know we've reached out to people for some potential guests to interview, and we've actually gotten about 3 or 4 people who've emailed back, and I have not emailed them back yet. So we have Satchel, who we had a mix up with back in December. We're going to meet with him again, and we have a couple other people who reached out. They want to be on the show, and again, if you have any suggestions, we'd love to hear it. Interesting stories, interesting people. We will travel. So you can send us an email at theinfo@themarylandkrabs.com. Our website is themarylandkrabs.com. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. Subscribe to us. And I know we say this all the time, so it's kind of in one ear and out the other. But please leave us a rating, leave us a review, something nice. Because what happens is that the algorithms from Apple Podcasts and Google Play help us to find other listeners, and they can hear how wonderful we are, and we would really like that. So if you write a review, it doesn't have to be a long one, at least give us a rating. We would love to have that as well. There's also some great other podcasts locally that you want to listen to. The Annapolis Podcast, more power to you. Annapolis Pintcast. They're all friends of ours, and they all do a fantastic job. A lot of work goes into these, so we want to see them rewarded as well. So that's it. That's our show for today. I think next week is John only. I'm getting the break. So you'll have the dulcet tones of Mr. John Fernay, and we'll be together the week after that. So until next week, thank you, folks.
This has been the Maryland Krabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandkrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.